Alrighty, so we are in the middle of week 5, and for you today, I have my week 5 QB and tight end tiers and rankings. Before we hop into the actual video, just realize that there are some injuries this week at the QB position. There is also teams on bye, so this will be impacting the rankings. Just keep that in mind. Don't be like, hey, Ethan, you're crazy. Like, why don't you have certain players out there? I'm sure everybody in the whole wide world already knows that, but if you didn't and you're like, hey, this guy's losing his mind, just realize there are teams on bye, and there are going to be teams on bye going forward, so there will be some people that are missing. All right, so starting off at number 1, it is Josh Allen. No surprise here. I am pretty hopeful this week for Josh Allen too, playing up against the Patriots. It could be the potential for a higher scoring game on the week between these two teams. There's not too much that really needs to be said about Josh Allen. He's just the guy. He's going to get it done. At QB2, I do have Jalen Hurts. The Eagles are going up against the Broncos. It will potentially be a harder matchup because of the Broncos defense. The defense for the Broncos, though, through 4 weeks hasn't been anything too gaudy. They are not looking like that top 5 defense I thought they were going to be coming into the season. So this could end up not being the worst of matchups. I do not believe that Lamar Jackson will be playing this week, so I don't have him on my list at all. If he ends up playing, you can slot him in around, I don't know, QB4, QB5, only because of the injury. But because of the fact that I don't think he's going to be playing, I do not have him on my tiers and rankings for week 5. One thing to keep in mind, if he's playing, you're starting him. If he's not, then like you're just not. Find a better option, I guess. At QB3, I do have Justin Herbert going up against the Commanders this week. The Commanders are letting you get it done on the ground and through the air, so this should be kind of a smash spot for all the Chargers players. Jayden Daniels is supposed to be playing this week. That should set it up where it's a higher scoring game. But I would assume with the lackluster performance in week 4 for Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert, this offense as a whole for the Chargers, this unit's going to come out there and try and punch the Commanders in the face early and often in this football game. I think Justin Herbert's going to be able to get there as a top 5 QB in week 5. So at QB4, I do have Daniel Jones. The Colts are going up against the Raiders this week. The Colts defense isn't anything too great. The Raiders offense will eventually get it clicking. I'm hoping Geno Smith can bounce back from week 4. Look like he's returning to form in week 5. This could end up being a pretty high scoring game on the week. I think Daniel Jones is going to be able to pass the ball, run the football. The Raiders defense has a decent pass rush, but that's about it. It should set up where Daniel Jones is able to finish as a top 5 QB, especially by passing the football. And who knows, maybe he'll have a rushing touchdown this week and absolutely smash. At QB5, and again, I talked about this in my matchups to exploit. I do have Patrick Mahomes. I think this is a spicy spot. The Jags secondary, I don't care what people are saying on the internet. I do not like how they've looked on tape. I understand that they're getting turnovers for this defense. Patrick Mahomes has been smashing so far through the first 4 weeks as well. I have him here in the top 5 because, again, the matchup's juicy. Patrick's looked pretty good. And with Xavier Worthy back, this offense should be clicking again against again, in my opinion, a lackluster secondary for the Jaguars defense. At QB6, I have Dak Prescott, the man who keeps on being written off for dead and coming back and fighting back. I am hopeful that against this Jets defense, it just got absolutely torched. And I mean torched by the Dolphins. Kind of feel like if Dak Prescott can keep performing at this high level, which I feel like he can do, especially once CeeDee Lamb comes back, he's kind of set up like Joe Burrow in 2024, where he's going to be like a super crazy high valuable guy in fantasy football at the quarterback position. I like the matchup. I like how Dak's playing. And when CeeDee Lamb comes back, this offense is going to be clicking. They had George Pickens more involved in week 4 against the Green Bay Packers. They pushed the Packers, which is awesome because the Packers defense had looked pretty good for the first 4 weeks. Don't think the Jets defense is that great. Dak should be in a smash spot. He should be out there scoring a bunch of points for your fantasy team in week 5. At QB7, I do have Drake May. Patriots are going up against the Bills. High scoring game. So far, Drake May has looked pretty good. The Bills defense isn't anything too gaudy either. The Pats should be set up to be able to get it done on the ground and through the air. Drake May is running the football, throwing the football effectively. He kind of looks like a miniature if you will, Josh Allen. He's also smaller, obviously, as well, so it kind of works in my analogy. Drake is able to do the same thing right now. He is distributing the ball to all these different players. It doesn't matter if it's Stephon Diggs, Hunter Henry, Matt Collins. He's getting the ball all around to different wide receivers out there and his tight end. It's also a situation where the running back should do pretty well this week for the Patriots because of how bad that Bills defense is at stopping the run. This should set it up for the play action game. Drake May should be in an explosion spot again. Like we saw in week 4, I would anticipate he plays even better in week 5 with its higher scoring matchup against the Buffalo Bills. QB8, I do have Baker Mayfield. Baker has been slapping week over week over week. He is being pretty consistent. He's not playing at that elite level we saw last year, but with the diminishment of weapons he actually has right now, he is still able to get it done. I would love to have Baker higher, But with the fact that Bucky Irving might not be playing because of the injury, which I think at this point in time it's been confirmed he's not going to play, it's probably going to be Rachaad White and Trey Tucker out there, so I don't love the run game aspect for this. He's also going up against the Seattle Seahawks, whose defense has been pretty good. They are taking the football away. They are getting sacks. It is going to be a tough matchup for Baker, but he is still able to get it done. He's slinging the ball down the field. He's not giving up at any point in time during the game. Doesn't matter how many scores he's down. He's still willing to throw the football all around the field. This should still be a pretty good matchup. At QB9, I do have Justin Fields going up against the Dallas Cowboys. And the flip side of the Dak Prescott matchup should be a pretty high-scoring game. Justin should be able to get there on the ground. The biggest concern I have for Justin in Week 5 is if the Dallas Cowboys watch the Dolphins game and are like, hey, we're going to double Garrett Wilson, and you got to figure it out, that could put Justin in a bad spot. I don't know if Dallas has the corners and safeties to make that matchup like really happen where they're able to like effectively double Garrett Wilson, play over play over play. But if they're able to do that, Justin Fields could fall to more of like a bottom of the barrel QB1 in Week 5 or off the list entirely. I am hopeful though with his legs, he'll still be able to get there. At QB10, I do have Jayden Daniels going up against the Chargers. The Chargers defense obviously looked semi-exploitable in Week 4. It was a lot more on the ground, which obviously Jayden Daniels can run the football. I do like they held him out for a couple weeks, so I am anticipating that we get like an 80 to 90%, like peak Jayden Daniels, maybe not 100%, but he should be pretty dang healthy after taking a few weeks off with rest. I do have Jayden this low only because of the Terry McLaurin situation, the Deebo Samuel situation. I don't know who's going to be catching passes for him this week, so that is a little bit concerning. So I wanted to put him safely here towards the bottom of being a QB1 range, but he's still somebody you're going to be starting if he's playing this week in Week 5. QB11, I do have Kyler Murray. The matchup against the Titans is fantastic. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. The only issue you're going to run into with this game and why I have him lower, the Titans can't score the football. They like to run the football a lot. The Cardinals aren't letting you run the football. It could be a really low scoring game, so Kyler doesn't really have to do all that much. But because of how bad the Titans defense is, like I already mentioned, Kyler should still be in a smash spot for this week. QB12, I do have Sam Darnold, the highest I've had him ranked on the season. I know the potential high scoring that this game could provide against the Seahawks and the Bucks. Because of that, I do have him as a starting QB, albeit he is like the bottom of the barrel QB12. The reality is that Sam Darnold has looked pretty good, just like he did last season. Seattle is asking him to score less points because of how great their defense is. But if Baker and the Bucks are able to get it going through the air, on the ground to some extent, and run up the score a little bit, this could be a potential for like a middling scoring game on the week. It should set up where Sam Darnold is able to get there as a fringy QB1 on the week. It's not my favorite ranking of all time, but the matchup and the fact Sam's look so good, and because people are on bye week this week, it does set it up where I have him as QB12 in Week 5. At QB13, I do have Bo Nix going up against the Eagles. The biggest issue for the Broncos is their offense has not looked that great. It's had flashes here and there during these weeks. They've obviously won some games, lost some games. I'm hoping that after Week 4 and just beating down the Bengals, that they kind of stay on that tear and keep it going forward. Kind of puts Bo Nix in this weird, like, fringy QB1, not really QB1 range for Week 5. So when it comes to QB 14 and 15, you honestly could throw either one of these guys into a true QB1 range. I have them here this low because I don't know what we're actually going to see out of these offenses, and you'll understand what I mean in about 2 seconds. I have Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff. The Rams are playing against 49ers. The 49ers are without pretty much every offensive weapon, so they're not going to score a lot of points. If you think and you buy into the Vegas stuff, then you could start Matt Stafford probably like in like bigger 12-man leagues or super flex leagues. It really comes down to how much production he's able to get done in the first half, because if they're blowing out the 49ers, they're probably going to try and run the football a lot in the second half. On the flip side with Jared Goff, it's more the fact the Bengals defense is horrible and their offense is horrible. Jared Goff in the first half is going to tear it up and light it up. I've talked about this like 3 times, I think, or 2 times on the week. It reminds me of the Tennessee Titans game last year where Jared Goff went out there, was fantastic in the first half, but they were up by like 20-some points or 30 points in the third and fourth quarters, and they really kind of just ran the football. Didn't have to pass it anymore, and Jared Goff was out of there by the fourth quarter. So it could set up very similar against this really bad Bengals defense and offensive unit. So my last 4 QBs, I'm going to run through real quick just so you know that I have them ranked. I have Geno Smith, Jackson Dart, Tua, and then Bryce, who are both playing against each other. That game could be really high scoring because both of their defenses are kind of booty. Eventually, Geno's going to bounce back, and it's hard to say to start Jackson Dart in week 5 only because we saw a little glimpse in week 4, and he's more of a player to monitor going forward. But again, who knows? Deeper leagues, maybe you have to start one of these guys, and I have them here just in case that is the case. Alrighty, so saying just in case, if that's the case, or however I worded it, was kind of funky, so that was kind of weird, but here we are. Anyways, from here, we're going to hop right into my tight end tiers and rankings, so here we go with that. Alrighty, so for my number 1 tight end, it is Trey McBride going up against the Titans. Talked about the matchup earlier with the whole Kyler thing. Titans are letting you run the football, pass the football. Trey McBride should be in a smash spot for week 5. He's a top 3, top 4 tight end for the rest of the season, like we already knew last year. Lock and load Trey McBride every single week. At tight end 2, I do have Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren at this point in time is the number 2 target earner for the Colts team. He's a smash play every week, kind of like Trey McBride. I know it's still earlier in the season. It is week 5, but I feel like Trey McBride, Tyler Warren, Brock Bowers, they're just locked in. So I don't have really too much else to say. At tight end 3, I do have Brock Bowers on the flip side of that Colts matchup. The Colts are letting you get it done through the air. At some point in time, Brock Bowers is going to be far enough away from this knee injury. He's going to be 100%, and he's going to pop off and remind people that he's a top 1, top 2 tight end in the NFL. And at some point in time, Geno Smith will stop throwing interceptions. So this whole team for the Raiders will look a lot better going forward. At tight end 4, I do have Jake Ferguson. Cowboys going up against the Jets. Said it to you earlier. Has the potential to be a pretty high scoring game. At this point in time, he's going to be the number 1 or number 2 target runner on this football team. It's going to have to be him and George Pickens until CeeDee Lamb comes back. At tight end 5, and again, I hate doing this, but here we are. It is Hunter Henry. He does not seem like he's going away. It seems like for whatever reason, Drake May loves throwing him the football. He has a crazy amount of touchdown equity on this football team. The matchup this week going up against the Bills should be like crazy high scoring. That should set it up where Hunter Henry easily finishes as a top 5 tight end in week 5. It also wouldn't surprise me though if he finished as like tight end 1 or tight end 2 on the week, just because of the matchup and how high scoring this game should be between the Pats and the Bills. At tight end 6, I do have Juwan Johnson. Saints are going up against the Giants. He still is like this PPR safety blanket, check down button thing for Spencer Rattler. At some point in time, I do think that will go away. But at this point in time, he's still a guy top 10 pretty much every week until things change. The matchup against the Giants isn't the best because it probably won't be the highest of scoring games, but he's still going to be that check down guy for Spencer, so he's still viable to tight end 1 in week 5. At tight end 7, I do have Dallas Goedert. I did hear that he has some type of like knee injury, so I don't know if he's actually going to end up playing. I just heard that this morning before I started making this video. The biggest thing to keep in mind is if he doesn't end up playing, move everybody else up 1 spot. That is why I have a few more tight ends on the week for my tiers, only because I don't know if Dallas is going to end up playing. If he does, he's going to be a touchdown monster. He has so much touchdown equity on this football team. It's kind of gross. He's also like the check down button, easy button for Jalen Hurts in the passing game. So if he plays, start him. If he doesn't play, obviously bump somebody else up and find somebody to replace him in week 5. At tight end 8, I do have Sam Laporta going up against the Bengals. Should be a great matchup for Jared Goff. The biggest concern is in the second half. Are they going to have to pass the football a lot? Probably not. Sam Laporta does have some touchdown equity this week again like he did in week 4. Because of the matchup, he should be in a pretty smash spot to get some work done in the first half. At tight end 9, it is Travis Kelce going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I said it earlier, spicy matchup. I like Travis Kelce this week. I like Xavier Worthy this week. I like Tyquan Thornton potentially in deeper leagues this week because of how bad this secondary for the Jacksonville Jaguars is and how they're going to limit the run for the Chiefs. It should set it up where Travis Kelce is able to get there. He has touchdown equity for this team, just like Sam Laporta. Just like the next tight end 10, it is Dalton Kincaid. Touchdown equity is a big thing for him for the Buffalo Bills team. He's attached to Josh Allen. I said it last week. They're going to be a top 5 scoring offense. He has touchdown equity. He may not have as much target equity, but every week it seems like somebody else has more targets, and it's like this big wave for the Buffalo Bills. There's a really good chance that he scores a touchdown for you again this week. How many targets is he going to get? We don't know. Tight end 11, and this is based on Jayden Daniels playing. If Jayden does not play, if a weird game time thing happens, pull Zach Ertz. I have him at tight end 11. He smashes, like I said before. I said don't start him in week 3. Don't start him in week 4. Why? Because him and Marcus Mariota are not like synced. Him and Jayden Daniels, though, like legitimately are synced. He knows where he's going to be in the red zone. He's an easy check down target for Jayden Daniels. Him and Jayden Daniels connection is fantastic. Tight end 12, I do have Darren Waller. I really don't care about the touchdowns. I said this in the matchups thing earlier. I don't really care about the touchdowns. What I care about is his involvement in the passing game. Tyreek Hill is not going to play anymore for the rest of the season. This is going to set it up where other target earners have to step up for this Dolphins team. Darren Waller could emerge as like this like Devontae Adams for the Rams right now. Like big body, end zone target earner who's going to get a lot of touchdown equity for this football team. If we see that happening again in week 5, he's going to be a smash play going forward. If you're in 10-man leagues, 8-man leagues, I probably wouldn't start him. In 12-man leagues, if you don't have better options, I think Darren Waller is worth like the dart throw because he could pop off again and be a top 10 tight end easily on the week. Or he could fall to like tight end 16, tight end 17. It really comes down to what the usage looks like in week 5. At tight end 13, I do have Brenton Strange. So far for the Jags, it's been like a weird conglomerate of people catching the football. Diami Brown still not going to be playing. It should set it up where Brenton Strange is semi-viable in deeper leagues. Not my favorite situation, but when it comes to the Chiefs, they're letting you pass the football pretty effectively. It really comes down to a gut call for you on how you think this game script's going to go. High scoring, passing the ball a lot. Then probably start him. But if not, leave him on your bench. Start one of these other guys I have ahead of him in week 5. At tight end 14, I do have Mark Andrews. Ravens playing against the Texans. Defense for the Texans is pretty good. When it comes to the situation, Lamar is probably not going to play. It should be Cooper Rush. I don't know what we're going to see out of Cooper Rush. He looked good with Dallas in years past, but how is he going to look against the Texans for the Ravens in his first start? I just don't know. When it comes to Mark Andrews, he could end up popping off. He could be like the safety check down blanket for Cooper Rush. Kind of like what we saw with Jake Ferguson last year. I just don't know what's going to end up happening. So the next 4 tight ends, I don't love any of them. I don't love the matchups, but this is where I have them ranked. So I'm going to run through them real fast. I don't have like a true tight end 15 on the week because I don't like the matchups and I don't really like the players at this point in time. It is TJ Hawkinson, Chika Okonkwo, David Njoku, Harold Fannin, same team, but I don't know who's going to do what week over week over week. So either way, here we are. Alrighty, so there are my QB and tight end tiers and rankings for week 5. Hopefully this video helps you get just a little bit closer to winning your fantasy football championship in 2025. So don't be mad. I know the waiver wire is already passed. I understand. I posted my video, before it closed, but neither here nor there. If you are in deeper leagues especially, I would recommend going and checking that video out. I will have it around here somewhere below. I kind of am like tailoring these videos to deeper leagues. I know at this point in time in the season, it's harder to find like quality, viable people who could actually be helpful in the back half of the season for our teams. So I'm trying to tailor it to deeper leagues specifically. So there might be somebody on that video who's still available in your league. Again, I would recommend going and checking it out if you're still looking for somebody to like fill a spot for you on your roster. Hopefully I'll see you guys again. Hopefully you guys will see me again real soon. And until then, y'all have a blessed day.